Yep. We're here. 1 day away. What will happen with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. this season? A lot up in the air still.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Braden Iwasko. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasko, Carter First 2, as well on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here to YouTube or you're listening anywhere else, make sure you hit the subscribe button. YouTube, we've made it the hub. You get your podcasts, your shorts, your live streams, your videos, all of them. They're all right here for you guys. As well, Discord link is down in the description. We've gotten really good feedback from the Fantasy League, so I have started to curate one. I think there's going to be room for about 20 people, 18 plus me and Carter. So when that goes out, you guys will know about it. I'll do a little piece at the beginning of the video. Make sure you guys do join that right away if you want to get in on the Locked On Blue Jays Fantasy League. A lot to get into. I mean, we don't even have enough time for the stuff that the amount of news that has come out is, but we have to focus on the day that is today. Right? Today and tomorrow will determine if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will sign that long-term extension before the season begins. Otherwise, the Blue Jays will be fighting with every other team in the MLB to secure Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as their first baseman. He should be getting his bag. It will just be determined if it is from the Toronto Blue Jays or not before the season gets going. We'll get into all that, but Carter, I want to start it off by showing something for those of you on YouTube. If you're listening, or else I will explain what's going on here. So, over the last few days, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been making posts to his Instagram story, and this is all come with numbers. How many days are left? And this was the one that popped up yesterday, Carter. It's got a 1. Keep working. Vladdy in the gym. Looks amazing, by the way. Good for Vlad. It's got number 1. He knows there's 1 day left to make something happen. The team knows that too. I know they have been talking aggressively. A little bit of this to me, Carter, with Vlad making the posts, almost seems to me like this is a little bit of a ploy. I don't necessarily know if it's from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or the team, but a little bit of me with these posts happening almost make me believe that this deal is going to be done, weirdly. I think that this is to stir up clicks, to stir up the drama. Then right before spring training, they're going to drop a huge Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension. Otherwise, I understand why you would do it, but is that making anything happen? I don't know. That's just one of my theories. How do you feel about the post itself, Carter?
See, I don't think it's being interpreted the way that I'm interpreting it from multiple other fans in obviously of the Toronto Blue Jays. But with Vladdy, I don't think he's necessarily counting it down. It's like, oh, there's 1 day until I sign my contract. After this day, I'm not going to be signing that contract. I think he's just saying it's 1 day until he's reporting to spring training. He's counting down the spring training, counting down till he gets to the Toronto Blue Jays complex, till he starts, again, putting in those swings, start getting in those daily routines once again. Is there a little bit of a double entendre probably going on here right now? I think you don't post something like that, for that exact reason. I don't think that's necessarily what he's getting at, but I think he's doing it on purpose. I don't think he's just setting this up, being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to throw a 1, a 2, a 3, start counting down days just for spring training. Because I don't recall him doing that any other year with the Toronto Blue Jays, but it is a little bit funny on his behalf just to kind of, stir up a little more drama that we've already been accustomed to this entire offseason.
Yeah, as Toronto Blue Jays fans, man, we've been put through the ringer, and now we're getting put through the ringer on Vladdy, our superstar first baseman that you want to sign him to an extension, and it's happening again. I don't know, man. There's a lot that goes on around this, right? Like, we've had conversations. First of all, will this deal get done? I want your opinion right now. I want you on the record. Will this deal get done before spring training?
I haven't really changed my stance on this at all. And as much as I want it to happen so badly, I think they might be working towards closer numbers. I don't think it does get done before spring training does start. I think I always use this argument. When you see what Juan Soto got this last offseason, $765 million. You look at what Vladdy could get if he does hit the open market. Probably, I'm not saying it's going to be $765 million, but we've talked about numbers on this podcast. Might be 500, might be 550, might even get up to $600 million. There is the debate if do you want to pay a first baseman that much of a premium? His first base, you're really not signing Vladdy for his defense. But look at Juan Soto. You're not signing Juan Soto for his defense either. You want guys that can mash the baseball. You want guys that can hit the long ball. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is that guy. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than I have been these last couple of weeks. I think there's a slightly greater chance that he does sign. But unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to happen. But what a travesty that would be for Toronto Blue Jays fans. Doesn't matter what Ross Atkins did this entire offseason. If you don't get a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension done, what was the point of all of this?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there's some people that argue, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. worth the money? And we've seen it in our comment section as well. I'm going to put something out there for all of you. The MLB has ranked Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as the 13th best overall player. 13 in the entire MLB. Those of you who say Vladimir Guerrero Jr. isn't worth the money, you're wrong. You're just wrong. He absolutely is. He is one of the superstars within this league. The MLB knows it. The Toronto Blue Jays know it, and he knows it. You got to pay him. And I don't care what you say. He's not worth this. He's not worth that. Juan Soto's not worth $765 million. Shohei Ohtani is not worth $700 million. No player is worth that much money. But to me, that is where the precedent is. You got to do it. You got to get it done. And I think if we look back one day and said that we let Vladimir Guerrero Jr. walk as an organization, as a fan base, as fans of this team, we're going to look back with huge regret. And I think that is what is driving a lot of this. You could miss on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He could end up not being great, whatever. But I think the pros outweigh the cons to this deal. It just has to happen. And I talked to a lot of people Saturday night, Carter. We were back in town, a little social. And I got talking to a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans. And everybody said the same thing. I don't care about the money. Pay him whatever he wants, because he will be making he's the big free agent on the market next year. He will make $600 million on the free agent market. I fully believe that. We didn't think Juan Soto was going to make $765. People don't think Vlad's going to make $600. You're wrong. He'll make $600. He probably will be $600 over 12 years, but he'll make $600. And then all of Blue Jays fans are going to think, wow, we missed again. And I really, for the life of me, don't want to be put in that situation. And to be honest with you, I do think this is going to get done. I have switched completely. I am on the side. I don't care if it's out of pure blindness or pure hope, but this deal is getting done before spring training. Bookmark me there, Carter. You can clip this after if I'm wrong. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, put the good vibes out there. It can't hurt this baseball team. And for the people that are saying like, oh, they're going to overpay Vladimir Guerrero Jr., is Juan Soto an overpay in hindsight? Like, you can be. But again, when you're looking at the marketability of some of these players, Shohei Ohtani, $700 million, with him bringing the entire country of Japan, obviously bringing all these other guys in as well, these superstars coming from Japan, just around the league of baseball as well. Like, you're making that money back pretty quickly with some of these star players. If you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. signed, that guy is putting butts in seats at the Rogers Center. This guy's only 25 years old. Like, he's been in the league 6 years, going on his 7th season, and is one of the best first basemen, if not the best first baseman in all of baseball. There's always going to be the debates if he's the Freddie Freemans, the Matt Olsons, things like that. Again, you can kind of talk to a wall with that. Maybe we have a little bit of bias on this Toronto Blue Jays podcast, but what Vladdy did last season, what he's done over his career when he's only 25 years old has been exceptional, to say the least. And when you're looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr., it's not like he's going to go and just turn into a bum next season, knock on wood, hopefully, obviously. But he's not, you kind of know what you're getting out of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. now. I think you saw him at his worst, which was that 2023 season. You're probably not going to see him dip under 25 home runs probably ever again. The only issue with Vladdy that it could run him into some trouble is him just mashing balls into the dirt again, just hitting ground balls at 110 miles per hour. But if Vladdy consistently continues to get better, and if we can sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr., that is one domino that can fall in the directions of getting other superstars to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. Bichette possibly coming back and signing with the Toronto Blue Jays. We've seen what Bo has talked about with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We're going to go into that on this podcast as well. but all signs should point to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming back to the Toronto Blue Jays. And as a Toronto Blue Jays fan, I'm not sure why you wouldn't want that. Because if you don't get Vladimir Guerrero Jr., it might be cause for a rebuild. And I do not want to watch this team play horrible baseball like in 2024 for the next 5, 6, 7 years.
No, I couldn't take it. I really couldn't. And this is what I'm going to say. We could have this episode out. It's coming out at 4 a.m. like they always do, Monday through Friday, 4 a.m., Locked On Blue Jays. Your episode is there for you. We could wake up tomorrow, being Monday morning at 7 a.m., and the deal could be done. So keep your eyes peeled. If you see us go live tomorrow or today, know that Vlad is probably signed. If not, if we don't go live, then we'll talk about it on Tuesday's episode about, this sucks. Or Wednesday's episode, this sucks. But for now, leave your opinions, your thoughts. Do they get this deal done? And do you obviously want to get this deal done, especially if the money is pushing $550 million? Let us know. Is that too much for you? Are you saying, no, thanks? Crazy to say that, whatever. But let us know what your thoughts are. Because again, we read all your guys' comments. And we take them into consideration on all these videos we do. See even some of our own thoughts. Sometimes you guys change our minds on little things too. So have those debates, have those conversations in the comment sections on the YouTube page. Because me and Carter said, I can't remember, Carter, if it was before the offseason or when the offseason started. This is the most important offseason in probably Toronto Blue Jays history. Locking down Vladdy and shoring up this team could be the biggest offseason. Now, if they don't sign Vlad, yeah, that's definitely cause for some worry moving forward. Because I don't know if you want to compete with those teams in free agency when it comes to Vlad. I just think you're going to lose.
You see what the Mets have been spending. You see what the Dodgers could be in on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as well. Don't necessarily see that as the landing spot, but it's Los Angeles Dodgers. They've done some crazier things. Again, if imagine he goes to like the Boston Red Sox, goes to the New York Yankees, I would be absolutely sick to my stomach. That is not something that Toronto Blue Jays fans want to endure. And you kind of touched on this, but I think we'll end the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. stuff, at least for this segment, with this. You said you think it's going to be around a 12-year, $600 million deal. I want you to give me numbers and a length. The Toronto Blue Jays can get it done this offseason, where in the next 2 days, or once he hopefully does not. But if and when he does hit the open market next season, which teams could be involved and what do you think the number or the length would be at that point in time?
So this is where I'm at right now. I think that the deal is done. The money and the year term has been put out there. I believe it's probably close to a 500, 550. I think right now what's stopping them is opt-outs. That's what I think is what's being talked about at this point. Again, I have nothing to base this off of, but how this has gone and the money talks and the stuff we've been hearing about, this is where the Blue Jays are at, this is where Vlad is at, this is what he wants. It's sounding like they're getting very close. So in my head, it's all the little details, the opt-outs, the back front loading, deferrals, everything in that sense all comes into play here. Now, what I think it would take to get this done now is probably you're looking at 550 over 10 years. 550 over 12 years, sorry. I think in the offseason, if he waits, I think you're looking at probably 600, 625 in the offseason.
Yeah, I actually have that same number as well. If it's going to be this offseason, I think it's that 12 years, 550 million. Maybe it gets up to 575. Being at 550 million over 12 years would be a just under $46 million AAV. Now you have this Alex Bregman contract. I'm not sure. Obviously, Vladdy isn't basing his contract off Alex Bregman, but if Alex Bregman can get $40 million a year, it's not the craziest thing that Vladdy could creep into those 45s, those 50s, maybe even 55s. Is that a crazy number to talk about for a first baseman? A little bit, obviously, but when, like you said, you had me on this one earlier in this offseason, the Juan Soto $765 million contract. I think that is absolutely ridiculous for a baseball player. Like, if it's Shohei Ohtani, fine. This guy is a very unbelievable pitcher. Obviously, he's probably going to win a ton of NL MVPs for the next few seasons and the rest of his career. But when you look at just the way the league is going, the way the league is trending, it looks like you're going to kind of have to put up or shut up and with a player of Vladdy's caliber, you kind of have to let him dictate your role in these contract talks a little bit. But one thing I wanted to go into as well is Shi Davidi was talking about the deadline, how this could impact discussions with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he says extension talks between Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Blue Jays will likely go down to the wire. Why? Deadlines drive decisions. Most times, deadlines and momentum get deals done. Things don't really happen in our business until the deadlines kick in. The deadline is upon us. The deadline is right here. Hopefully the Toronto Blue Jays have that little bit more incentive looking at Steve Cohen in the face next offseason, the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees, whoever it may be, looks at that and you realize, hey, we do not want to get in a bidding war with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., especially if he has a season like he did in 2024. Maybe even he has a better season and drives that money up even more. So I think if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you're Ross Atkins, you got to pull the trigger and you got to do it now.
Yeah, great tweet there by Shai Davidi. He's 100% right. It doesn't matter what professional sport it is. When it comes down to the deadline, people, you get a little bit of a trigger finger and you want to pull it. So I fully believe that this will happen. Just because of dumb hope. It is what it is. We'll talk about it more as we move forward. We got to get into Bo Bichette. First of all, his contract. Has there been talks? We've talked a little bit about this. Now there's some full-on quotes and articles that have come out, as well as some of the players' thoughts just on Vladimir Guerrero Jr., his contract. A lot to still talk about today. And of course, segment 3, Carter, I did say this to you. We got to save some time because what an absolute unbelievable performance. And the first minute of the Four Nations face-off, for those of you who miss it, I'm going to just toss a little bit in there at the end because, man, if that doesn't make you love hockey, nothing will. We'll be right back with more right after this break.
Today's episode is sponsored by SelectQuote. In sports, having a winning strategy is everything. It's how the best teams make it to the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the Olympics. Same goes for life. Having a strategy like life insurance from SelectQuote can protect your financial legacy and keep your family's future secure. SelectQuote makes it easy to find the perfect life insurance policy. As one of America's leading insurance brokers of nearly 40 years of experience, they've helped over 2 million customers find $700 billion in coverages since 1985. What sets SelectQuote apart is their personal touch. Unlike other brokers that offer one-size-fits-all policies, their licensed agents tailor coverage to fit your unique needs. If you're in good health, you might even qualify for same-day coverage for up to $5 million. No medical exam required. It's even more affordable than you think. You can get up to $1 million in coverage for as little as $20 a month. Get the right life insurance for you for less at selectquote.com/lockedon or selectquote.com/lockedon today to get started. That is selectquote.com/lockedon. SelectQuote. They shop, you save.
All right, guy, we got to talk about it. Bo Bichette. This one throws me. I'm going to start with his contract, get into the tweets with some of the players around Vlad as well. But I did want to start talking about Bo Bichette because he's a guy that sort of feels left to the wayside in sort of the craziness that has been this offseason. When Bo Bichette was asked by Keegan Matheson about discussions around his contract, no, we haven't had any talks. But from my perspective, we all grow up wanting to be one of those guys that has an opportunity to stay with an organization for their entire career. I'm just focused on what I've got to do this year to help this team win and be the best version of myself. Whatever happens will happen. You know what? You don't see Bo Bichette really get into the weeds a whole lot and be very outspoken. He does seem like a guy that if Vlad stays, I think he wants to be here and I think he can see success with this organization. I am pretty shocked there's been no talks about contract whatsoever. I think that's absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, we literally have not heard a single thing about talks going good, going bad. And usually if you're not hearing about talks going well, they're probably not going exactly the way you'd hope. But when you're looking at Bo Bichette, like you said, he has said that he wants to play with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for life. He wants to win. And he had another quote, which I found very interesting, where he kind of got into the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. aspect and how that kind of concerns him as well. So he says, I know how the world works. It's like, what have you done for me lately? That's just how it goes. This offseason, I haven't seen much, so I don't know if they are talking about me or not. I was told that they would reach out. They haven't yet. Not exactly what you want to hear. In the past, it's been during spring training when they do reach out to me. Obviously, Vladdy is a priority at this point. From my perspective, I'm happy and content with where I'm at. There are many organizations that put in the effort that this. There are not many organizations that put in the effort that this one does. We'll see. I'm here, and I'm here to win. Obviously, part of it is I wanted to address to start off is that they haven't reached out to him. That's what he said. But he did go on right after that and say that it usually happens in spring training. Are we in spring training yet? No, we're not. So there was a little bit of a saving grace there. Saying Vladdy is the priority at this point. What do you take from that? Do you think Bo Bichette is just, obviously seeing kind of how, like you said, how the world works in front of him, kind of knows that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the face of the franchise? We heard some talks and rumors before that Bo Bichette wanted to be the face of the franchise, kind of wanted to be that leader amongst the clubhouse. But from what Bo Bichette has said this offseason and just over the last couple of seasons, doesn't seem like there's any animosity between him and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just give us your overall thoughts on that quote from Bo Bichette.
I think this is a very, again, we've witnessed Bo Bichette through his entire career. I haven't given Bo Bichette's maturity and the way he handles himself on the field with much respect. This is a very mature quote from Bo Bichette, and I got to give him a hat tip on that because I think he does see the direction this team is going. I think he wants to play with Vlad. He sees what Vlad could bring in terms of success to your team. And honestly, yeah, I think that this is just a very, very good quote and a thought about answer from Bo Bichette, which I feel like we haven't got a ton of that from Bo. And this is a really, really nice change of pace, knowing your role and knowing that he is the second guy on the totem pole, right? It's Vlad, it's him. Those two, when those two get cooking together, it's sort of like an unstoppable force a little bit, but they need to do more of that. And I think Bo realizes that he didn't have the season he wanted to last year. Vlad absolutely popped off and had another great year. He knows that Vlad is priority one. And I think this again goes back to the fact that he knows, if Vlad knows, the organization knows that probably they need to lock down Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to entice Bo Bichette then to stay as well. And right now, I think that the organization and Bo, you're probably going to get Bo on a discount. So as long as you can lock up Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I think a Bo Bichette contract, you're right, when they talk about spring training, I think that's sort of purposefully a little bit, where they know, okay, we got to go and get our guy. And then, okay, now we got spring training. We still got a bunch of time left to talk with Bo about this, and we'll make that happen as well. And if you can lock both those two guys in, you got Anthony Santander for a bunch of years. You're looking, the future would look promising here. And so to me, yeah, hat tips to Bo Bichette. I think all of these quotes from Bo Bichette today really changed my outlook on him moving forward as a Toronto Blue Jay. I think very smart, very intelligent, very mature answers from him.
Yeah, there's a lot you can take away from this when we're talking about Bo Bichette. And I think one of the reasons that, again, you haven't seen a lot of those contract talks is their focus is on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. If you get that one big fish, probably more likely to get Bo Bichette, whereas vice versa. I'm not sure if Vladdy has any more incentive with Bo Bichette locked up. Obviously, again, you know that there is a franchise cornerstone, but if you know Bo Bichette is going to be with the baseball club for 7, 8, 10 years, 12 years, whatever they do end up offering Bo Bichette, it is nice to see that there is a little bit more incentive to just, if you want to have that winning mentality, if you want to go to a ball club that wins. Believe it or not, baseball players want to win games. Who would have thought that crazy concept would actually become a reality? But when we were talking about Bo Bichette, when we're talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Vladdy and Bo are on completely different facets right now. Vladdy had one of the best seasons of his career, obviously besides 2021. Bo Bichette had by far the worst season of his career. He'd probably be the first one to acknowledge that as well. And it's weird how quickly Toronto Blue Jays fans forget, because in 2023, that offseason, going into 2024, it was, Bo Bichette is the cornerstone of this team. It's either Bo or Vladdy, we want Bo. Now the narrative has completely switched. Is it? Probably for good reason. I think if you really had to compare the two of them, you would take Vladdy over Bo Bichette. By the end of the day, why can't you just have both? That should be the narrative going forward. I think if you can land one, the chances that you land the other one absolutely skyrockets.
Yeah, Carter, that's a great thing to remember. And I think something we forget about a lot of the time when we now talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is there was conversations like that. You're 100% right. And now, Bo's quote there when he was talking about, what have you done for me lately, is exactly true. The fans have completely flipped their switch. And again, I think we have to go back to understanding how important of a player Bo Bichette is. And some of you will argue his defense. Fair enough. He's gotten better over the past few years, but he's still not elite. But when Bo is batting and he is getting on base and doing what Bo does, driving and runs, it's hard to argue that 1-2 punch of Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, if you could have that for 10 years, Carter, I don't know what else would be better. And then throw in Anthony Santander, triple threat. I don't know. I don't know what team over the next 10 years are competing with the three guys of those natures. And then, again, winning does magic, man. Winning is everything. You win, and you bring in more talent from other places. You see that this Toronto Blue Jays future has Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bichette, Anthony Santander, take the list on and on. They, again, talks with Kirk and Varsho about extending their contracts as well. Then it's just little pieces that you have to add throughout off seasons. I feel like that the future could look bright here, but it all sort of rests upon the shoulders of the next 2 days. And I'm pretty worried as a Blue Jays fan. I really want to be hopeful and want to be ecstatic. It's hard because we don't know what the future holds for this organization for the next 10 plus years. It's very interesting.
Well, and you said winning fixes a lot of things. That's exactly what Max Scherzer said when he came in and signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Not a lot of problems with your ball club if you're having success. Do you think if the Toronto Blue Jays win 100 games this year, people are going to be talking about like anything that happened the last 2 seasons? No, they're going to be focused on that season. They're going to hopefully be focused on a deep playoff run. Are the Toronto Blue Jays going to win 100 games? I wouldn't necessarily bet on that. Can we be optimistic and hope for it? Absolutely. But speaking of player quotes and kind of going back to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Jose Berrios kind of had to chime in on these discussions, and he had something interesting to say on the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension talks as well. So Berrios goes on to say he wants to be here. The way he's been talking to me, he wants to be here. Toronto Blue Jays fans love him. They want him on the team. And Vladdy has said before, I think it was in the 2023 offseason, that he wants to remain the Toronto Blue Jay for the rest of his career. But if we're talking about past Vladdy quotes, he also said the thing about this is the trailer, that's going to come the movie. That didn't really end up happening. Said he swore that he never wanted to go to the Yankees, and then he said he might kind of change his mind on that. That obviously did not make us feel well as Toronto Blue Jays fans. But you can't take too much validity out of these quotes. Again, it is nice when you have players advocating for each other. Obviously, Jose Berrios, Kevin Gausman, Bichette, everyone in the Toronto Blue Jays organization knows how good of a baseball player Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is. We just got to hope. That's going to be the theme of the episode. We got to hope that Ross Atkins can continue to have a pretty successful offseason, in my opinion. And if he just gets that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. extension done before this offseason ends, I think that you cannot really complain about this, how this offseason has went.
No, I'll be popping champagne if they get that extension done. I will. I think, again, going back to the Jose Berrios quote a little bit and just the quotes that have come out around these players and each other and Bo and Vlad specifically, you have to remember, again, not too many guys come up through the system together and have this many seasons playing together. These guys probably have each other's backs more than a lot of other teams and a lot of other players on other teams. These guys, it really does feel like a team game, especially like I've never heard so much we talk and what we have to do and this organization and these guys in the clubhouse. I just think the mentality going into this season is everybody's got to do their part and we can make something happen here. And having the guys backing each other really shows that there just seems to be some type of different connectedness going into this year. And that's what you want to see out of your ball club. You want to see everybody rocking together, right? And I'm very impressed with all of the quotes that have come out surrounding everyone. Just how interconnected they all seem. I think it's very, very mature. It shows really the growing up part of baseball, right? These guys were all young and they were throwing quotes out and, trying to make headlines, and they all want to be superstars. But now you can really feel like they're a team and they're working towards a goal together. And that's what you want to see as a fan. I don't know what else you can expect from these players.
Well, especially from a guy like Jose Berrios, who is still under contract here for a fair amount of time. When you have guys like Chris Bassitt, Kevin Gausman, obviously their contracts are coming to an end sooner rather than later. When you've got Jose Berrios, probably going to be around until 2028, maybe even a little bit past that as well. You think out of anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays, if you're going to be on this team, Jose Berrios wants, again, all players in the MLB want to win. Jose Berrios wants to win. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier to win. You have Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on your baseball club. But we did have another topic that we want to go over. The Four Nations hockey tournament is going on. Obviously, as Toronto Blue Jays fans, obviously as being from Canada, we're obviously wanting Canada to win. But we have some things that we want to break down, and then another signing to the Toronto Blue Jays to compete in this bullpen as well. We're going to get into all that stuff coming up.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. I talk about it all the time. FanDuel is my favorite place to place bets. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I did this Sweden-Finland 3-3 game. I'm like, you know what? I might as well. The money's pointing me towards Finland. I threw a couple bucks on Finland. They pull it out. I'm a winner. Same game. Might as well, right? Those live games, that's what the fun of it is, right? You see something that you think, oh, I could take advantage of it a little bit here. FanDuel gives you that opportunity. Make sure you guys get in on that action. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, Carter, just before we get into a little bit of the Four Nations stuff, because what a game. Let's go over the Blue Jays signing before we really get, do a little deep dive into the Four Nations.
Yeah, so we have been talking a lot this offseason about the kind of lack of lefties in the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. You got Brendan Little, you have Josh Walker, you have Richard Lovelady as some guys that can compete for that spot. Brendan Little probably is shoe-in for this bullpen spot, but we do have another signing, a left-handed bullpen arm to have some competition throughout spring training. It is a minor league contract with an invite, obviously, to Major League spring training, but the Blue Jays are in agreement with left-handed reliever Amir Garrett. This is a guy, the first thing that I think of every single time I think about this guy is him taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates just by himself. I don't remember the exchange that happened before it, but I do remember Amir just running off the mound and just throwing a haymaker at one of the guys on the Pirates. And obviously there's a big doggy pile on him after that. But if you want to bring a little bit of electricity, a little bit of fight, a little bit of like that Max Scherzer dog mentality, Amir Garrett is another great guy. If you want a competitor, if you want a guy that really wants to win and cares about his performance on the mound.
Yeah, I don't know what to necessarily feel about this. Again, we'll have to see what happens in spring training and sort of who makes the team, makes the spots. Again, we're going to have to talk about, really do a deep dive probably while spring training's going on, and who's going to make opening day roster, because there are only so many spots and only so many guys to fill them. So we'll have to wait and see. Signing, good. Minor league deal, great. I like it. You might as well, right? You got to find a little diamond in the rough, and hopefully this is it. Four Nations face-off, Carter. What a day. We're all sitting there. We went back to our hometown, sitting in my parents' basement, big screen on. The boys are buzzing. And we think, okay, let's get right into it. It should be a pretty heated, good hockey game. Puck drops. Puck drops. Kachuk brother throws against Hagel. And Hagel holds his own. Surprisingly, I thought he was going to get absolutely dummied. Holds his own. Electric start. We're thinking, oh my goodness, what a start. And you see it in JT Miller's eyes. He's like, I'm hunting for somebody. And then I'm like, Jesus, are we going to go again? Then the other Kachuk brother, bang, drops the gloves. I was like, oh my goodness, we were out of our seats. Then the play actually gets going. JT Miller flies into the net, trying to start something. Colton Parayko throws him down too. 3 fights under a minute. Like, I don't know, Carter. It was probably one of the best starts to international best-on-best hockey I've ever seen. You can tell all those guys really cared, wanting to be there. Hard hits thrown throughout the game. Sadly, Canada doesn't pull away. Sort of giving me, what was that, 2012 flashbacks of the Olympics when Canada loses in the regular preliminaries and then comes back in the final, beats the U.S. in overtime with the golden goal. I don't know, man. This tournament, from what people were talking about beforehand, of like, I don't know if I'm even going to watch it, to one of just an absolute electric factory of a tournament, is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, obviously that golden goal, 2010. You got the, you're a
Yeah,
little bit off there, but again, everyone knows what we're talking about. One of the best moments in Canadian hockey history, and yeah, it's always nice to see just the best on best. Whatever if it's baseball, if it's basketball, like you name it, you want to see the best athletes going at it. We haven't seen the States and Canada best on best since 2016. That's one thing that has been very nice about baseball and the NHL. I guess you could say just the International Four Nations Tournament, is that you have your best players on best, and they really care about representing their country. They're going all out and they're putting everything on the line. A lot of the flack that like the NFL, I know it's just all-star games, a little bit different, but the NFL and the NBA, nobody really tries in those games. So why watch if it's best on best, but they're not trying to their full potential? What's necessarily the point of even watching it? So yeah, those fights definitely fired me up. I think that they fired me up a little bit too much, depending on what happened that night. But yeah, it was a fun time, obviously, with the boys. Unfortunately, not the outcome that you necessarily wanted, but hopefully we do get a rematch once again on Thursday.
Yeah, man. Shout out, the Bossier Comets. They are our home team, our hometown hockey team. They're starting playoffs this week, and my brother plays on the team. I'm thinking, okay, I'll go out and watch. Then I get a text from him. He goes, "Hey, by the way, it's Thursday." I'm like, "I'm not going to watch. That's Four Nations final. I'm going to be planted on my couch watching that." It's, this is perfect. It's like a perfect little lead in. The NHL will get back underway, and then we're full bore into MLB. I'm right there. I'm so excited for this season. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's been a couple seasons where I've been as excited. Like last year, moving into the regular season or into the start of the MLB season, I was pretty hyped. We just got the podcast. We were rocking. This year, I think I have a little bit even more hope than last year. I think I'm going into it in better spirits. I'm not expecting a ton, but I have hope for a fun year at least.
Oh, absolutely. I think the last time that I was this excited was after the 2021 year. Obviously, that team did not make the playoffs. But going into 2022, you thought the Toronto Blue Jays would be a pretty good baseball team. In that 2022 year, they were projected to finish third, or they had third highest odds to win the AL. In 2023, I think it was third highest as well. This year, they have the 12th highest odds to win the AL. So a little bit of a different storyline regarding the Toronto Blue Jays. You kind of do that to yourself a little bit when you win 74 games the year before. But a lot of people will kind of hate on this offseason, hate on the job that Ross Atkins did. Again, of course, you want another power bat. Of course, you might want another top end starting pitcher. Of course, you might want another bullpen arm. But when you look at the ads compared to what we had last season, which will probably go into either Tuesday or Wednesday's episode, I think this team is shaped up on paper, at least, to have a better season than they did last year. How much better will be the overlying question.
Yeah, we'll get into all that more. We got another week of Blue Jays content coming for you guys, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Fun episode. It's always fun when deadlines are here and everything's going on. But if you see us go live and you get that notification bell, Vladdy has made his stamp and signed that long-term extension. So again, make sure you guys do hit the subscribe button. You hit the bell as well if you want to get notifications. And we'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.